That should be better. I'm Brooke Rose. Welcome to Brooke Rose Talks. Tonight we got an interesting one. Yep, we're going to be seeing what concerns. Hi, Benjamin. How are you? We're going to be seeing what concerns today's young adults, 25 through 45 plus years old. Kind of the concerns that they have, how life's treating them, things that they worry about, and we're going to go from there. I think you might find it a little bit interesting, hopefully. Good. I'm glad to hear that, Benjamin. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the jungle. We got fun today. Welcome to the jungle. I know, terrible singer. So anyway, we'll get started here and stick with me. Well, let's give it a couple minutes. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Benjamin. Where are you from? Love to hear a little bit from you. Where are you from? Where you grew up? What do you do? I appreciate you coming on. From Florida. Oh, you're lucky. I really like Florida. Do you like your governor over there? Is it it's DeSanchez, right? Do you like the governor over there? I think he's doing a pretty good job. You won for the show. Here's to you, Benjamin, and Florida. Woo! Enough of that. Okay, let's get her going here. Because, wow, holy smoly. Whew. Okay, so people, my Lord, that was really hot. Okay, so tonight, like I said, we're going to talk about some stuff that do with, the younger people. Hi, Joe. How you doing, Joe? Thank you, Joe. You're always so sweet to me. You pay close attention to tonight, Joe. I think it's going to tickle you. It's your so you're really young. It's okay. You can still say Benjamin. It's kind of about people that are between like ages of 30 and 45, or basically our young adults. 17, good. You're right behind it. You like the background? Thank you. Yeah, my new sign. Hi there, Willow. Or is it Willow? Willow Mina. Hi, Debbie. I'm glad you're here. We can get started. So pay attention because, like I said, tonight's kind of about the 30-somethings, the young adults that are going to be taking over our country, and kind of you'll see where we're going to be going with this. I think you might find it interesting. So we'll get started, and then afterwards, of course, then we'll talk some more and see where we go. So tonight we start a simple question. What does the future look like right now? Not 10 years from now, right now. For people between the ages of 40 or 25, we'll say 45. The people building families, paying taxes, trying to move forward. Because this group isn't talking about politics first. It's talking about pressure, everyday pressure, quiet pressure, the kind that follows you home, right? Talk to young parents today. They don't describe comfort. They describe uncertainty. They work, they plan, they try to do everything right and still feel behind. Students about to graduate say similar things. They're not asking for luxury. They're asking for a path, a clear path forward. And many don't see one. They just don't see one. Not clearly anyway. Not anymore. Young workers entering careers feel it too. The rules feel different now. Work harder, save more, delay everything, hope it works out later. And that word keeps coming up. Hope, hope. They hope it works out. Not confidence, hope. So what are they actually worried about? What shows up again and again and again across the surveys, across conversations, across households? 5 things keep showing up. 5 major pressure shaping things on how they see tomorrow, how the younger adults of today see tomorrow. Number 1, the cost of living. Not abstract not abstract economics, real life. Groceries, rent, insurance, utilities, everything's going up at once. The feeling isn't just that things are expensive, it's that income doesn't stretch anymore. You work full time, sometimes 2 jobs, and still feel stuck in one place. That creates frustration, right? And exhaustion. Number 2, housing. For previous generations, housing meant stability and a starting point, something to build from. Now many see housing as a barrier, not a milestone. Rent keeps moving, right? Rent keeps moving up, going up. Home prices feel out of reach. Interest rates add another wall. And so people delay decision making, right? They delay marriages. They delay having children, delay setting down roots because stability feels uncertain. Number 3, financial security, or more accurately, the lack of it. Living paycheck to paycheck isn't rare anymore. It's common. Saving feels temporary. One emergency away from basically all your savings disappearing. That creates constant background stress. Not panic, but tension. Always calculating, always adjusting, always wondering what happens if something goes wrong. Number 4, healthcare. Healthcare costs. Not just illness. The fear of illness becomes, one medical event that can erase progress, years of progress. Young families think about this constantly. Insurance premiums, deductibles, unexpected bills. The question isn't just health, it's risk. How much risk can a family carry, right? And then then here's number 5, the biggest one underneath all of them, all the others. Future uncertainty, career stability, retirement, technology, changing work, AI, changing industries. People feel the ground moving faster than before. Skills that mattered yesterday may not matter tomorrow. Jobs changing, industry shifting, and nobody fully is explaining where it all leads, right? So the result isn't anger, not at first, it's anxiety. And a quiet question, right? Repeating in the background, am I going to be okay? That's what young adults are asking themselves right now. Am I going to be okay in this future that's coming our way? Because this generation, your generation, isn't asking for guarantees. They're asking for something simpler. That effort still leads somewhere. That working hard still builds a future. That tomorrow is more stable than today. And when that belief weakens, everything changes, right? Everything changes. Budget, how you save, whether you get married, if you feel justified bringing kids into this world, right? So we need to make their lives better. We need to make them more stable, more productive, more prosperous. Because if we don't, what exactly are their children going to inherit? What are your guys' kids going to inherit? You guys are inheriting this mess from us. What are your kids going to inherit? Right? Let's make this concrete, not abstract, not theatrical, concrete. If we took the scale of spending we just discussed, tens of billions, sometimes over hundreds of billions of dollars combined, redirect that towards domestic stability, what would that actually mean for ordinary Americans, right? There are roughly 130 million households in the United States. If even $100 billion were redirected towards direct household relief, that equals to $770 per household, every single household in a year. Now that may not sound like a lot of money, but if you told every household here now of young people with kids, do you need $770? I think they would say yes, right? Especially if you're lower or middle income. It's a lot of money. If $50 billion went directly into the first home buyers assistance, wow, and roughly 1 million first-time buyers entered the market this year, or that year, that equals $50,000 per buyer. That's a down payment. That's access. That's entry, right? That changes timelines. If $30 billion reduced payroll taxes from middle income, it would spread roughly $60 million. Working adults, that's $500 per worker. That's groceries, that's coverage, that's breathing room, right? If $20 billion went into national workforce, retaining the $5 million or 5 million workers needed reckless, right? That's $4,000 per worker. Certifications, trade training, technical transition, clear direction, healthcare, $40 billion reduced premiums, right off the burden and the backs of the young people. You young people, I'm old, you guys are young. That's hundreds of dollars per month, right? Think about this, add all this up, right? These aren't fantasy numbers. This is just math. When you move money at scale, life change at scale. Imagine a 28-year-old couple. They buy early. They build equity early. They feel settled early. Imagine a 35-year-old parent. Insurance stability. That stress is lifting. Imagine a 24-year-old graduated, entering a funded training pathway into expanding industries. That direction, when financial pressure decreases, behavior changes, people invest, they start businesses, they move, they build. That's what scale looks like when it's directed inward. It's not perfect, it's not a cure-all, but stabilizing. So the real question isn't whether the money exists. We know it exists. The question is alignment. What do we believe produces long-term strength, right? External obligations? No. The internal, we need to look inside, not outside. So if you look at it this way, if we take the money that we're currently spending on foreign countries, we spend a lot of money overseas. We spend a lot of money on undocumented immigrants, whether you agree with immigration or you don't. If we took the money that we spent on healthcare on people that are not Americans and directed it towards our youth, the young people coming up to start the country, and gave the money to them, would that make a difference in their lives? If the money that we're shipping overseas or paying for people's hotel rooms over the last 4 years or apartment startups for undocumented, and we gave that to Americans that are struggling, how would that change their lives? If we redirected the money that we are sending overseas to so many other places and concentrated on our future, because our future is our young people, people between 25 and 40 are right now, they're our adults, they're the voting staff, they're the voting people. what would our country look like? Because I see a lot of young people that are scared. They don't know what's coming. They don't know what AI is. They don't even know what to study in school because they don't know whether there's going to be jobs. Not from what they hear today. It's a fear society. So I suggest that our politicians start looking inward and start putting some money into our future to build our young people's confidence. So they feel that they have the opportunities that their parents did, because they don't feel that way right now. You can ask any young person out there. Do they feel that they're going to be able to buy a home? No. Gavin Newsom in California quietly snuck this little program by everybody. It was called a forgivable first-time homeowners down payment loan. So in short, if you're a first-time homeowner, the government would give you the money to make the down payment, which is 10%, I believe, in California. The catch was it only applied to undocumented immigrants. I took that personally. I have a 40-year-old daughter and a 30-year-old daughter. They weren't included because they're Americans. How would that change if we gave Americans the same opportunities? I'm not saying that we shouldn't help people, but shouldn't we help our own first, and whatever's left over, then we give that away rather than giving away our young people's futures now? Now, the midterms elections are coming up, and I'm not telling anybody how to vote. But if these are not part of the people running for office's agenda, it should be. And if it's not, do you really want them in office? Do you want them giving away all your tax money to where you can't afford an apartment? You're worried about it living paycheck to paycheck while we're giving away literally trillions of dollars every single year to everybody but you. Doesn't make sense to me. I know we need allies, but what's a country if we don't take care of our own future? That's just how I feel. What do you guys think? Because, I don't know. I've been thinking about this all week long. I don't think I'd want to be a young person. I bought my first house when I was 25 years old on a $34,000 a year salary working at Costco. You couldn't do that today. I don't even think you could rent an apartment on a salary like that. You'd probably be on food stamps. You guys are walking into a world of shit. And you have no idea what's even coming. There's nothing about your future that screams security. So think about that when you go to vote. When you're debating on whether or not you're going to vote this person, that in. Put aside the Democrat, the Republican, put all that shit aside. Start in the middle. Vote the policy, not the politician. And see what you come up with. Because until we hold these politicians accountable, they're just going to keep getting rich themselves and giving all the money away. This is your money. This is my money. This is our tax money. Remember, the government has no money. They have no income other than taxes. That's where they get all of their money from. And those taxes come from us. And those people in Washington, they work for us, not the other way around. That's all I'm going to say about that. I just thought that I should let the younger people know I'm thinking about this a lot. I'm not done talking about it. I'm thinking about going public in person in my local area and start planting some seeds in these young voters' minds. Let them know they have more power than they possibly could ever imagine. Because I don't think that generation between 25 and 45, I don't think they hate me because of me. I think they're just pissed off at the world right now because it feels like our country is not doing shit for them. And I think it's time that we do. My opinion. So let's talk about something a little more lighthearted, and then I'll get to the chat. And then you guys can tell me what you think this country is going to look like for you if you're within that age range, or even if you're older. What's the difference between now and then? I would not feel very comfortable right now if I was 25 years old. I'd be pretty scared. Because what's AI going to do? What are they going to take? Everything? You know, and do you know that we spend somewhere like $800 billion a year on investing in AI, but we only spend like $3 billion a year in mapping out the future for our youth. I don't know. That doesn't add up to me, right? So something a little lighthearted, right? Things we thought would matter 20, 25 years ago that absolutely don't at all at 40. The car you drive, the label on your shirt, whether strangers think you're impressive, right? At 25, you think everyone is watching. At 40, you realize nobody was. Being cool, being at every party, winning every argument, having the perfect body, the perfect house, the perfect timeline. Turns out what actually mattered? Peace, sleep, stability, people who showed up. And not caring who doesn't show up. That's the biggest part. Not caring who doesn't show up. That's the difference between 25 and 40, right? I want to go through some numbers, right? I have some numbers written down here somewhere. And it's going to give you guys an idea of what money leaves our country, what money goes not to you, but goes to other people, other places, other things. Because since when did our country stop investing in our future? You kids, I call you kids because I'm 61 and I'm talking to 25 to 45-year-olds. I call you kids because you're younger than my kids. But you're adults. You guys seem kind of quiet. You don't seem to say much, but I know there's a lot going on there. And I just wonder, what are you thinking? What are you really thinking? Are you pissed off at your parents for leaving you such a mess of a country? Are you pissed off at your government for not at least telling you what's coming? Are you pissed off every time you hear about billions and billions and billions of dollars stolen, given away? When you hear Minnesota had $9 billion taken from them, and now their Governor Walz, is asking the federal government for 10 million more or 10 billion more to pay for the damages of removing the people that stole money from us? I don't know. The world seems broken to me. But what do I know? Let's see what the chat says. Let's stop for a minute. Let's just see what you guys think. I'll be 80 next Tuesday. Well, I'm not really talking to you then about this, right? I'm talking to the younger folks. I seem broken to you? In some ways, that's not false. In some ways, I am a little bit broken. What is this? I challenge everyone to read a book and see what history has said. Don't read it at your own knowledge or your own perception. Look at it openly. Yeah, that's a good way. I challenge everybody to read the policies that the people that are running for office are actually putting out there. What do they really mean? I challenge people to replace anybody who's already on their third or fourth term in office in Washington. Get some new blood in there, somebody younger, somebody who lines up with your ideas a little more than somebody who's been there for decades. Somebody that people vote for just because they're comfortable with them, but doesn't seem to be ever getting anything done. Look at Nancy Pelosi. How old is she? Gosh, I think she was like 50 when she started. She's older than dirt. Barbara Boxer died voting at 90-something years old. What does a 90-year-old know about a 25-year-old's life today? What I'd like to know. Think about that. You guys hold the power. You are the largest voting base that we have, but you don't turn out. You leave it up to the older people to decide. But we're deciding your future. I don't think it's a good thing to do. You got my back against the haters? Well, thank you. The young people in this country are the largest voting bloc in the country. Exactly. If they'd all show up at the polls, they'd absolutely command direction of the country. You would change direction of the country, and you would find that politicians are going to start saying what you want them to do. What you need to start saying is, we need to stop shifting all that money over here and kick down this way. Help me with my down payment on my house. Help me lower my insurance bills. Not for everybody and their brother. I know what it is to be compassionate. You are a very compassionate group of young people. But if you don't secure your future, you won't be able to help anybody else, because there'll be no future for anybody. It seems selfish when you say, I have to come first, but you do. You have bills. When your bills are all paid, when you're comfortable, that's when you start giving whatever's left over to other people, other countries, other places. If you don't do that, then there's nothing. Just like if we don't have borders, we don't have a country, regardless of what they say, how they make you feel guilty for other people. The United States is a great place. Everybody wants to come here, but everybody can't, because if everybody comes here, we can't afford it. We go broke, and then there's no place for anybody to go. And nobody should be punished for going through the immigration process the correct way. Nobody should be rewarded for cutting in line and crossing the border illegally. And that's exactly what's happening today. People have waited for years to come to the country, but they can't, because so many people have came in illegally. So they're stopped. We need to get back to fairness. I know that human nature from the group of people that are younger, between 25 and 45, you guys have big, huge hearts. I get that. But you also have big, huge brains. You need to use those too. What else we got here? Let's see. Whoops. I screwed up. Where are we at? Awesome. Go back to the chat. I lost my chat. Where's my chat? Where's my chat? Live chat. Live chat. Okay, hold on one second. See what you guys are talking about this. If you are, or you're just making fun of me. People like to do that. But that's okay. I don't mind. I really don't mind. You guys don't bother me none. Okay, that's a dude. No, I'm not a dude. I'm a biological male, but I'll forgive you for being ignorant. Same here in Ireland. Too many coming, and African, too many. Yeah, you know what? And people think if you don't support these immigrants from coming into your country. Look, I support immigrants from coming into our country because we need immigrants to help us with the work labor, to broaden what America is about. I get that. But you cannot reward people for sneaking in. If the first thing you do when you sneak in is ask for a handout, that's not really who we want here to begin with. We need young, healthy people that, have inspirations. They want to adapt to the American way, because let's face it, the American way is what everybody comes here for. But if they come here and they try to change us for who we are into what they are, well, that doesn't make sense to me, because aren't they running from that culture to change to this one? Because people used to come to this country and they would want to make it big. They'd want to have that American dream. And now it just seems like, it feels to me anyway, maybe I'm wrong, like people are coming here to take advantage of our country rather than work for it and build it up and make it great. It just feels different right now. And I'm too old. I'm not going to be in the workforce but another couple of years, if that. This is your guys's now. Do better than we did. We voted in shit politicians that screwed up this country, drove up a debt that you might never pay off. It might take your kids to pay off that $33 trillion, if they ever do. If they keep going the way they're going, we're just going to go bankrupt. And if the United States go bankrupt, we're going to be a third world country. You don't think it's possible, but it is. It's not too late. Okay, let's see what else we got. You need to just accept you for you, keep your country crime-free. That would be nice. It would be nice to keep the country crime-free. Here's nothing, like if you're a Democrat and you lean hard left and you can't stand Donald Trump and you watch the news that only supports your ideas, here's what you're missing. Crime is down in this country 20%. That's the first time in 100 years. crime has dropped that much. 20%. Violent crimes are down 20%. That's 5 out of 100. That's a lot. Or 20 out of 100, excuse me. That's a lot. That's a huge drop. But nobody's giving the man credit. I know that he could be an asshole. He's got a big mouth and he does rotten things. And there's a lot of stuff that you, frankly, are unlikable about the guy. But shouldn't we give credit where credit's due? He lowered prices of drugs. He has cut crime 20%. There's a reason it's dropped that drastically, because they're removing some bad people that would have committed crimes. I don't understand why we are fighting to keep them people in. And I know what you guys are going to say. You're going to say, but what about the gardeners? What about the people that have been there 20 years? What about the daycare teacher, or, my pool guy? You cannot reward breaking the law, as sad as that is. And I work in a place where I'm close to everyone that works here, because we all live here and we work here. Now, I'm not going to say they're undocumented, because I don't want to put the dime on them like that, but could be. I would be sad if they had to go. Although, if you break the law, you pay a consequence. You can't rob a bank today, and as long as you pay your taxes and you don't rob another bank or you don't do another crime for 10 years and then you get caught, you can't say, well, I didn't do anything for 10 years and I paid my taxes, so you should let me go. It doesn't work like that. But that's not all the problem. Immigration is just a small part of the problem. But the amount of money we spent on rent and hotel rooms for 4 years could have paid tuition off for every single American in school today. What we spent on people that legally shouldn't have been here. Just saying. Okay. Goodbye. I'm sorry. I don't like when people sit there and spam like that. It bothers me. There's no reason for you to do that here. You can have your say. I don't kick people out of the room for having a different opinion. I don't kick people out of the room for not liking me. I kick people when they freaking take over the chat and don't let anybody else say something. I've been watching you for about 10 seconds and I'm effing sick of you already. Why? Okay, I get that. You're sick of me already. Can you tell me why? That's such a bold statement. And if you just say it and run, you're just a coward. Tell me why. Why are you sick of me? What am I saying that makes you so sick? I'm just simply trying to tell you guys from experience. Been around for 61 years. By experience, if you don't fix it now, it doesn't get better later. Look at, like I said, Social Security's still here for me. I paid into it my whole life. I'm going to get a cash out on it. Will you, though? Are you going to go by global income? That never works. You think Elon Musk is going to share all his money with all y'all? Think again. How am I doing today? I'm doing great. Thank you, Sam. Is that Samuel? Let's see. I own a company and don't have to love people for their, what is that? Categories? You have to love them for their accomplishments. Exactly. I agree with you. But look at, I don't know how else to say this. I know that the hearts run deep for immigrants in this country, especially in the age group that I'm referring to tonight, the 25 to 40-year-olds. They really have a lot of empathy. But if you put it down to simple things, let's say you're a household and you make $100,000 a year and you have 5 kids, right? And you're just making it. You've got just enough money for everybody's comfortable. You can buy the clothes, you can buy the shoes, you can do the sports, you can do the skateboards, you get to do a decent Christmas, you get birthday gifts and everything. But what if somebody came along and said, we're going to give you 5 more kids and you have to take them in? All of a sudden, nobody gets new clothes. Nobody gets birthday gifts. Nobody gets nothing. That's what's happening to our country. We only have a certain amount of money to spend, a certain amount of taxes every year that are collected for our government to spend and take care of all of us. When you overload the system, we can't take care of everybody. Then we start borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. And that's why we're $33 trillion in debt. And if we keep borrowing, we're going to go bankrupt. So I take a lot of blame for the situation that we're in right now, because it was my voting age from when I was 25 till now that voted all this shit in. Do what you want. It's your country now. Trump's doing his job, so is ICE. I agree. I just said that. Right? Do I agree with everything that they're doing and how they're doing it? No, of course not. Do I think that those two people should have lost their lives over this? No, I think they should be in jail for what they did, but not in the morgue. No immigrants till they come legally. I think if you have to. There's people that have waited years to come here. They've done everything right, and they're being told you can't come now because there's too many people who snuck in. That's not fair to them. We want the best of the best that this world has to offer as immigrants when they come here. Because we are the best country in the world. Whether you guys like us or not, whether you support the United States, we are the best country in the world. We're not always going to be that way. Maybe we could change. It could slip. But the best country in the world stays the best country in the world by having the best people come here and be a part of this. Not the riffraff, not these gangs. When Trump used to say that they emptied the prisons and they emptied the cuckoo houses into our country, he wasn't lying. That was true. And they're running our streets now and they're doing bad things. But when we try to get them out, people with good intentions, but I think misinformed, try to prevent that from happening. I don't know. Could be wrong. Let's see, the worst people in the world live here. You think the worst people in the world live in the United States? You think we're the worst people in the world? Have you ever been to another country? No, I'm no expert. The only one I've ever been to was Canada, and it was during the Gulf War. There was only one group of people that they really were prejudiced against at the border. That was Americans. Me. I was applying for my work permit. Supposed to give me up to 5 years of a work permit. They gave me 3. When I asked the lady why'd you only give me 3? It said, because you guys give everybody else a hard time going in your country. That was in 2002. Think it's gotten better or worse? But a lot of those people that came here illegally came through Canada. How'd they get into Canada legally and then cross our border illegally? There's a lot of questions that need to be asked. So no, I don't have the answers to everything. Yes, I have been to other countries. No country hates like this country. Really? Really? Go to Iran. Ask them how they feel about us. Now, the people asked for help from Trump. Trump promised the people of Iran that if the government hurt them, he would help them. And he hasn't done it yet. That's bad on him. That's bad on him. Can somebody please explain to me why we put our noses everywhere else, but we don't in North Korea? Probably the worst country in the world as far as dictators running it and not caring about their people. Are we so afraid of his nuclear weapons? Or are we so afraid that Mr. Kim is so crazy that he'll launch them? I don't know. I know when I was younger, I used to say all the time, I don't want to be the world's police anymore. I'm tired of our country being the world's police. As I got older, I thought, well, who will if we don't? Somebody's got to be the police. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I'm asking you guys. You're young. You're smart. What do you guys think? Imagine if Jesus came back to earth and decided to disguise himself as a trans. His heart would break. It would. Because you guys hate me and you don't know me. You hate me for the wrong reasons because you think that I'm doing things that I'm not doing. You think I believe things that I simply don't believe. Look behind me. I put those signs up, those little ones, for a reason. Because I get asked and talked and told that this is what I believe so many times that I get tired of saying it. So I put these up. Protect the kids. No wieners in the showers with women. Right? Protect girls' sports. Because that's what I believe. Same as you guys. The majority of you anyway. But you don't ever hear that. You just want to bash me, tell me I'm wrong and crazy. Say there's only two sexes, and I already know that. I'm not a biological female. I never claimed to be. I'm a transgender woman, not a biological female. I know the difference. This is how I was born. And that person's right. If Jesus came back and disguised himself as a trans person, he'd be not only heartbroken, he'd be disappointed, maybe even pissed off. And his name, the way you guys treat me, take off that cross I hear all the time. Take it as if I can't worship God because I'm trans. You label me as a demon because I'm transgender. I don't get that. There's people out there taking other people's lives, taking their purities away from them, assaulting them in terrible, terrible ways. But I'm a demon because I worship God and I'm trans. Doesn't make sense. God loves all but hates the sin. See, that's the thing I don't get. I don't think it's a sin, me being me. Nobody's ever given me a good enough explanation of how me being me is a sin. I don't get it. So are seahorses sinners because the male seahorses give birth? There's a species of fish that, depending on what the abundance is, sometimes the females turn male and become aggressive. That's a natural transgender act in nature. So are they devil's fish? Are they the spawn of Satan? I don't think so. I just think a lot of people have narrow minds when it comes to trans people. Also today, you guys may have heard, because I hear this all the time, about how trans people are responsible for all these shootings, these mass shootings, that we're doing it all over the place. And I was watching the PBD podcast today, right? And had that one guy on there, gosh, can't remember his name, I'll slip the tongue. I made a video about it. And they showed a graph. And the top of that graph was transgender people. And it was like by far the longest one of the draft on people that have shot more than 4 people, mass murderers. And I looked at that, I went, that ain't right. But why would Pat have it on his podcast if it was incorrect? So I looked into it. I froze the screen, took a snapshot, and actually looked at this graph that they were doing. Then I realized, oh, you son of a bitches. That's a cheap shot, man. What they did was they took per capita. Per capita means the percentage of the amount of people in total. Trans people, there's about 1 million in this world, in this country, about 1 million trans people. Compared it against whites, Hispanics, Asians, all other kinds of things, saying that we are per capita the most murderous group of people in the country. But here's the fact. If out of those 1 million people, 10 trans people commit a crime, their number is going to be higher than the Caucasians if the Caucasians were to kill 50,000 people, because their numbers are that much greater than we are. They're making it because nobody's going to look into this chart and wonder why. They're just going to instantly think, oh, trans people are bad. Look at what they're doing. Oh my God, they're the worst people in the whole world. They're worse than all these other categories, when it's simply not true. They didn't put up numbers. They put up statistics for capita and made people think that we were the most murderous group of people in the country. That's why people hate trans people, because of shit like that. You think anybody's going to stop and listen to me when I try to explain it? No, they've already got it in their brains that we're the worst of the worst of the worst, and they're never going to let it go. And they're going to tell me in my chat all the time, that's who we are, when it simply is not true. And we have people that have hold shows that have millions of followers, that they were purposely misled by a purposely false chart. The numbers were correct, but the implications were wrong. Pat, that's a cheap shot, bro. That is a cheap shot. But you knew what you were doing. You did it on purpose. You know what that does to trans people? It puts targets on their back, because people think, I got to protect myself against those evil people, when it's not true. Actually, the number of trans people that lose their lives simply for being trans is quadruple the number of lives ever taken. And if you ever notice, like this latest person who did this horrible, horrible thing of taking 10 souls from this planet in Canada, claiming to be transgender, look at that person. Does that person look like somebody who identifies as female to you? Short haircut, man's shirt, man's pants. He had makeup on, but it was more like the Joker than a trans. Because most trans people I know that are born male, identifying as female, or women, trans women, try to look the part. But when somebody claims to be, just claims, I'm trans, and then ends a bunch of people's existence, the whole fucking world runs with it. Just sickening. Sickening. But nobody talks about Caucasian men, which are in fact number the most deadly group of people in the world. Nobody mentions that. No others put on the target on her back. If you can't realize that much, I don't know, maybe you're just at a lost cause. Yes, they did. When somebody puts a graft up there stating that because I'm transgender, I'm more likely to commit mass murder, when the numbers that they put up are not implying, you talk about, what do they call that? False statements or misguided statements or whatever. There's no bigger one than that. Pat has millions of followers on her show. 90% of them are not going to look into that graph to see it means per capita. They're not even going to, they didn't even mention per capita in the show. They just said, look at these murderers, son of a bitches. Look at how much war, murder, all these people, everybody, all these categories, they're the worst. But if they were to put real numbers up there, the trans people would have been at the very, very bottom. And actually, Caucasian white males would have been at the very top. But that's not the narrative that they wanted to push in their show. They wanted to push trans bad, trans bad, trans bad. So I put my video out this morning. I think I got 10 views. His got hundreds of thousands of views. So who made the difference? That lie that was perpetrated against me or my truth? Even here, what I'm saying, people don't accept what I'm saying is truth. It's a fact. It's a fact. Look at my short little video. So I think it's only 10, 15 minutes long. And you know, the thing is, I actually like the PBD podcast. I listen to it all the time. Even though they hate me, just like most people, they just don't like me for some reason. I don't know why. Don't ever do anything. Okay. A woman shall not wear a man's apparel. Yeah, you know what, that verse of the Bible, and I've said this 1,000 times, it has to do with war, not trans people, right? When you read a passage of the Bible and you try to decipher exactly what it means, continue to read after the paragraph that you find that fits your narrative. Don't stop there. Continue to read. And read the stuff before it, too. Because I guarantee you didn't find this passage by reading the entire Bible. You found this passage because somebody recommended it to you so that you could repeat it 1,000. Chris, turn that off, please. So that you could read it 1,000 times over. And you call that fair interpretation of a Bible verse. It's about war. Because they didn't want men to hide from going to war, pretending to be a woman, or a woman dressed in man clothes going to war pretending to be a man. That's what it meant. Hi, Bailey. Chris, are you a weirdo? That's what they wanted to know. Are you a weirdo? No, she's not a weirdo. Actually, Chris has been sick. She had pneumonia, she had sepsis, and she had a stroke. So do you want to pick on her too? You want to tell her how she's not welcome in God's world?
Wow.
What?
It's incredible.
I know, they're mean. These are mean people. What are we talking about? We were talking about youth and the 25 to 45-year-old and how they have it hard today, and that they should vote policy and not politics, and start to ask politicians, when are they going to start directing some of that money that's spent all over the world on everybody else but our young people back to them, so that we can make their lives easier rather than everybody else's lives easier and have them pay the bill. That's what we're talking about tonight. Yeah, Barbie, she's having a rough time, to be honest with you. There's no two ways to put it. She's in the last month, she's made 2 trips to the hospital. She just got out again today. First time she went, they kept her for 10 days, brought her home for about 10 days, and then she had to go back, and she was there for 3 or 4 days, and she's back home. She's having a tough time. She's struggling. I love her. She's my friend. Hey, Brooke, how do we determine when it is fair or a given transgender woman to participate in women's sports? It's never fair, because biologically, as a transgender woman, you have an advantage over your opponents. Therefore, it's not an even playing field. And if you don't have an even playing field, unless you're playing a pickup game in the park, when you're playing for a position, a prize, an award, a scholarship, you have to start out equally. And if you can't start out equally, then you can't have a competition that's fair. Therefore, unfortunately, transgender women have an advantage over their natural biological female in sports. So therefore, transgender people should be disqualified from that competition. It's kind of like if you took steroids and went up there and said, but I only took them for a while and I stopped now. Even though I got these big muscles, can I still compete fairly? No, you can't, because you've already got the development. You've already have the benefit that gives you an advantage. So no, I'm sorry, transgender people, especially women. Transgender men, nobody has a problem with them competing against biological men because they don't win. It's a fact. I have mental issues. If you think what I'm saying makes me have mental issues, then I beg to differ with your opinion. I think that you might be either living in denial or you suffer from, I don't know, mental illness. Who knows? Okay, God said it never your place to judge. Exactly. God said, you look at the skin, or how do you say it? Humans look at the skin, for I look at the soul. Something like that. And he was condemning man for judging somebody else by looking at the exterior of a human being and reminding them that he looks at the soul. The one thing in the Bible that is said more than anything is don't fucking judge. That's his job. But yet people do it all the time. A super chat. Thank you very much for that donation. I agree with you. You're telling truth about politics, world, and humanity. You're a very smart person. Thank you. I truly believe, or appreciate you saying that. I don't think I'm that smart. I just think I've lived a long time and seen a lot of things. And we don't listen to our old people enough because we made the mistakes. And we're trying to keep you from doing the same thing. But gosh damn, we're just as stubborn. You're just as stubborn this generation as I was in mine, because my parents tried to do the same thing with me and I didn't listen. I had to do it my way. And look what it got me. It got us $33 trillion in debt. It got all of our manufacturing jobs shipped over to other countries so we could buy a cheap TV and a cheap car. That's what Generation X and the baby boomers did for you guys, for the millennials, Z's, and whatever there are now, next generations. We sold your future. We mortgaged your future. And what we do now, we talk about what a badass group of people we are. Generation X, we're the toughest, we're the coolest. We were latchkey kids. We drank out of garden hoses. Yeah, and we grew up and we fucked the country up. We hawked our future. It's what we did. If you're going to admit all the great things you did as Generation X, at least admit the mistakes you made for our kids that are following us. Truth hurts. Please read my previous super chat. I didn't see another one. I just read one. If that's you, Samuel. Oh, my shoulder's really hurting me today. Yeah, I suffer mentally, but it doesn't make me want to change my gender. It's because, look at guys. That's such an ignorant statement. Yeah, I suffer mentally, but it doesn't want me to change my gender. It's because you don't have gender dysphoria. Gender is not your issue, right? Okay, here, I'm going to say this. Sometimes I have to remind myself that I repeat a lot of things a lot. So people that are return people to this channel say, oh my gosh, I've heard this so many times, Brooke. Why do you keep saying it? Because so many people haven't heard it. It's like they used to tell me when I was a Costco manager of a tire center, and we go and we'd learn, and they would say, you may have heard a question 1,000 times, but it's the first time that that customer is asked. So there is no such thing as a dumb question. Or you think everybody knows the size of their tires and you treat people like they're dumb if they don't. Nobody knows the size of the tires on their car. Not many anyway. So back to this. Oh shit, I lost my train of thought. Oh, you guys all know what a hermaphrodite is, right? No arguments about whether or not they're real, correct? Hermaphrodites are real human beings that are born with both sex characteristics of the body on the outside of the body. Sometimes they have a vagina and a penis, right? Sometimes they have a vagina, but they have testicles up inside them, and vice versa. That's just nature. It's a fact. Well, what happens is there's a part of development where the blueprint comes down and it gets confused. It gets double signals, or the receptacles that absorb the hormones that guide it, along with the chromosomes, get confused, and they make both, right? Boom, you have an intersex person or hermaphrodite. Later on in the development of the baby in the womb, the same principle happens, but it happens in the brain. The part of the brain is called the hypothalamus. That part of the brain is how you see yourself, how you view yourself, how you interpret who you are. That's that part of the brain. And also is another part of the brain that hormones are a huge part in how that develops. If during that period of time, and it can be something as simple as the mom having a lot of stress at the moment, something happens and that signal gets crossed, that's where you get the brain and the body misalignment. And it's biological. You can't talk it out of them. You can't preach it out of them, because that's how we're born. When I was born, my little tiny baby brain thought it was a girl. But when I grew up and realized, oh shit, I'm not, I spent a whole life fighting that in my head. Brain says girl, body says boy. Public says boy because body says boy, but brain says girl. Until finally I gave into it and I started to align my body with my brain rather than my brain with my body. And I feel better. That's gender dysphoria. Plenty of other brain things that you can have going wrong. It's nothing to do with gender. That's science. Dr. Schwab in the Netherlands is the one who broke this. I have a hypothesis if you want to read it. Go to the website called Medium. Look up my name, Brooklyn Rose. It's right there. Read it. That's the fact of it. But nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to actually read the damn thing. They just want to come on here and make fun of me. I don't care. That's it. Okay. Oh. My gosh, you are gorgeous. Now there's a smart person. I'm kidding. Thank you. I appreciate that. Nina, you're effed, says somebody. Why are you gay? Why are you dumb? Just asking. If you answer me why you're dumb, I'll answer you why I'm gay. Who are you? My name is Brooklyn Rose. I'm a transgender woman. I was born biological male. Can't deny that. I'm not a female. Can't get pregnant. I was born with a penis and now a vagina. People say it's not a vagina. It is too. It's just not one made by God. It's one made by a very, very talented surgeon in San Francisco. But it's still a vagina, whether you like it or not. It is. It's an open wound. No, it's not. Don't kid yourself. And it looks pretty good. You'll never know, but it does. That's Chris. Ew, somebody says. Bro got a musty man scent. Nope, don't. I do not smell like that. I have a very, very lovely perfume that I wear. And actually, because I've been on hormones for almost 5 years, even my pee smells like a girl, like it or not. Because what happens internally when you take hormones, stuff starts shifting around. Your fat shift, muscle shift. A lot of stuff changes. Does that make me a biological female? Nope. But it does make me a trans woman. Proud to be. Let's see. I'm not judging. I have, what is that? Discriminating spirit. Your spirit is effed up. My spirit is effed up. And who are you to make that determination? Just, I'm asking, what are your qualifications to make that diagnosis about my spirit? Please tell me. And then I'll determine whether or not you're full of shit. Kind of already have an idea, but I'm going to let you prove yourself first before I make that assumption about you. Let's see, what do we got here? Why don't you accept yourself for who you were? You're trying to be somebody on the outside that you're not. I'm trying to be something that my brain always thought I was. Why does the brain get to work? Why can't I just be who I want to be? Why do you get to wear the clothes that you want to wear? Why do you get to wear the haircut that you want to wear? Why don't you just have the same haircut as every other dude or woman or whatever? Because we're all individuals. This is who I am to my core. What is wrong with it? What is it hurting you at all? I don't get that. I just don't understand it. I came on here to fight and try to get young people, young adults, to see the waste that our country is doing that should be going to you guys to make your life easier, to make your future more secure, to make your job more available, and not give it all away to AI and make a handful of people rich rather than a whole country stable. And when I'm talking about this stuff, all anybody wants to talk about is me being trans. I don't understand that. When is this country going to progress enough to where I can get on here and talk about values and things that really matter, and people will stop seeing a trans person in front of them and just see a person? I don't know if we'll ever get there. Please don't approach children. That's all I ask, dude. I think I have more of a sound mind than you do, so I would ask you, please don't go around my 3 grandsons or anybody else's, because you have a hateful, mean heart. Right? I don't try to convince any children. If you read one of the signs back there, 0 to 18 in one piece, right? That's talking about kids. Can't do anything until you're 18, kids. I have total against transgender people medically transitioning at all until they're of legal age and can make their own decisions. But you wouldn't know that because you don't actually listen, you just talk. Why do you have a cross on? God, people, you never cease to amaze me. Where can we find your writing again? It's called Medium. It's a publishing website. If you look up Brooklyn Rose, the name of the hypothesis is neurological intersexuality hypothesis. It's when I did my studies, and it took me a few years to put this together. I wrote a hypothesis, and I tried to pass this hypothesis around to as many doctors and stuff as I could to get somebody to validate it or read it and say, you're on the right track, you're on the wrong track, or whatever. Nobody read it for years. And then finally, I got an email out of nowhere, and it's from a guy named Dr. Schwab. I didn't even know who it was. So I asked ChatGPT, I said, who's Dr. Schwab? And they laughed, as much as they can laugh or whatever. They said, well, that's the leading neurologist when it comes to transgender identity. Actually, it's the person that discovered the hypothalamus. It was the region of the brain that determined your identity from birth. And I went, oh, well, that person read my hypothesis. And the email they gave me was, your hypothesis aligns perfectly with my team and mine's work. So I talked to that doctor off and on through emails for about, 10 months, 12 months, multiple emails asking questions and stuff. And that's why I recommend mine. At first, I thought I was the original person that thought of this gender natural causation of transgender, but I'm not. He was. I came to the same conclusion, but it was his idea. I can't take it. His book is, I have it behind me. I'll show you at the end if you want to read it. But if you read mine, it's kind of shorter, and it kind of cuts to the chase of why people are transgender. And you have to be dead in order to examine your hypothalamus to see if it aligns with your perceived gender or your birth gender. They did study it at a cellular level, and stuff. And it's not quite, it has been peer reviewed. They come up with the same studies, but it's not enough for the entire medical world to say this is the causation. They need more evidence. But it's coming. That was Dr. Schwab's word. I said, when are they going to decide? He says, not yet, but it's coming. Okay. Another Samuel says, thank you again. Samuel says, I have been through a lot. I have also been through a lot. Been through a lot in life, so I understand you perfectly. You are a smart and wise soul. Thank you very much, Samuel. I'm sorry that you went through a lot, because I did too. I was emancipated at 16 years old. I was homeless at 16 because my parents couldn't handle me no more, because I couldn't handle going home to a physically abusive stepdad. Not sexually, like a lot of people think, oh, that's why you're trans. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. He was physically abusive and I couldn't handle it. So I was a troublemaker. I did things, stole cars, did a lot of crappy shit. I got kicked out, became emancipated at 16 years old. If you don't know what that means I was legal adult at 16 years old. My parents no longer were reliable or responsible for anything that I did. And my life just got worse from there. Hung around with the wrong people. Had women try to have me killed. Hung around drug dealers and drug addicts and alcoholics many, many years. When I became transgender, that all stopped. Because I realized what I was chasing. I was just chasing me. I was trying to run away from who I was. Once I started realizing who I was and started transitioning, my life changed. Stopped all that stuff. Been the same job, the same location, the same home for 11 years now. Pulled my shit together because I'm transgender. I didn't screw up shit turning transgender. I fixed stuff. It's a magical thing when you figure out what's wrong with you, regardless of what it is. You think I wanted to be transgender? You're crazy. When I put all the pieces together and realized that I was trans, I was not happy. Like, fuck. Great. This is going to be a hell of a ride. Cost me loved ones, cost me friends, cost me respect to the people that I work with. But it gave me a peace of mind. Is it a good trade-off? I don't know. Really can't tell you. I haven't talked to my daughter in a year because she's embarrassed me. My parents love me, but they no longer want me to go to their house because they're ashamed of me. It's a big cost, but I'm happy. I'm not ashamed of who I am at all. They are. So this comes with a price. Anyway. Shut your mouth and read an effing book. What? Oh, you're not talking to me, Joe. I was going to say, Joe, why would you say that to me? Or was that Joe? Somebody said that. Oh, thank you for the kiss. We said, oh, look good. Okay, what do we got here? Right on the money. Ha ha ha. Yep. Maybe you could do another survey and turn this chat around. I don't think so. I tried. What I should do is I should go back. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rehash where I started this chat out, because it's turned so vile, and it does that often. And usually I dedicate like the last 15 minutes of this program for that stuff, just so people can get it out of their system, I guess. But tonight, I mean, the topic I had, I thought it was strong enough to where people of that age group between 25 and 45 would actually want to contribute in a way that is productive and figure out how we can make their lives easier. But it didn't work, so I'm going to try it again. Let me give it another shot. How's that, right? Let's do this again. It takes about 15 minutes for me to get through this part, and we'll see what you guys say now. See if it changes. So let's start with a simple question. What does the future look like right now? Not 10 years ago, right now, for people between 25 and 45 years old. The people building families, paying taxes, trying to move forward in life, right? Because this group isn't talking about politics first. They're talking about pressure, everyday pressure, quiet pressure, the kind that follows you home. Talk to young parents today. They don't describe comfort. They describe uncertainty. They work. They plan. They try to do everything right and still feel like they're behind. Students about to graduate, what do they say? They say similar. They're not asking for luxury. They're asking for a path, a clear path forward. And many don't see one, not clearly, not anymore. Young workers entering careers feel it too. The rules feel different now. Work harder, save more, delay everything, hope it works out later. And that's the word that keeps coming up, the word hope, not confidence, hope. So what are we actually worried about? What shows up again and again and again across surveys and across conversations, across households? 5 things. 5 things show up amongst that age group that bothers them the most, that gives them the most pressure, the most stress. Number 1 is the cost of living, not abstract economics, real life, groceries, rent, insurance, utilities. Everything's going up at once. The feeling isn't just that there's things that are getting expensive. It's that income doesn't stretch anymore. It's stretched to the max. You work full time, sometimes 2 jobs, and still feel stuck in one place. That creates frustration and fear. Number two fear is housing. For previous generations, housing meant stability, a starting point, something to build from. Now many see housing as a barrier, not a milestone. Rent keeps moving, right? Home prices feel out of reach. Interest rates, another wall. And people, they delay decisions. They delay marriages. They delay having children. They delay planting roots because they're not sure what the future is going to hold, because stability feels uncertain, right? Number 3, third thing, financial security, or more accurately, the lack of it. Living paycheck to paycheck isn't rare anymore. It's common. Saving feels temporary, one emergency away from disappearing all your savings, and then some. That creates a constant background stress, not panic, but tension, always calculating, always adjusting, always wondering, what if it happens? What if something goes wrong? Number 4, healthcare and healthcare costs. Not just illness, the fear of illness, because one medical event could erase progress of years that took years to get to a place could be gone with one illness, one stroke, one early heart attack, one broken arm, one broken leg could wipe out any comfort you had financially and put you in debt for years, right? People talk about that constantly. Insurance premiums, deductibles, unexpected bills. You need 4 new tires on the car. Where are you going to get that money? The question isn't just health, right? It's risk. How much risk can a family carry? And then the number 5 one, the biggest one underneath all the others, future uncertainty, career stability, retirement, technology changing work, AI changing industries. People feel, ground moving faster than before. Skills that mattered yesterday may not matter tomorrow. Jobs changing, industrial shifting, and nobody fully is explaining where it leads. So the result, it isn't anger, not at first, it's anxiety. And a quiet question repeating in the background, am I going to be okay? Because this generation, your generation, you're not asking for guarantees. You're asking for something simpler. That effort still leads somewhere. That hard work still builds a future. That tomorrow is still more stable than today. And when that belief weakens, everything changes. Confidence changes. Ideas change. Marriages stop. Hope stops. People get depressed. And I think that's the state of a lot of people between the ages of 25 and 45 in our country today. And from there, I went on to talk about the amount of money that we spend on other countries to try to make their lives better, but we ignore our own people and what would make our young parents and workers better. I'm leaving the workforce. You guys are entering it, or you're well engaged in it. But nobody seems to be thinking about you when those tax breaks come. They don't think about the middle person. Trump has in a few ways, tips, stuff like that, tax breaks. But they seem like tax breaks now, but they have to be paid by somebody later. Trust me, I know we're $33 trillion in debt. We built that debt for you. You get to pay it off. I don't have to pay it off. I mortgaged your future. Now you're mortgaging your kids. When is it going to stop? When are we going to crash? When is this country going to go boom? It seems to me that young people these days are very, very nervous about the future. They're not sure. I always knew the country would eventually be okay. I'm not so sure anymore. Now, if I'm around 10 more years, I'm lucky. You're going to be around 40 or 50 or 60 more years. Is the country going to look like today like it does for me in 50 years for you? Not if we keep going the way we're going. I'm saying to vote people in, policy in, politicians in that talk about you guys and not somebody else, not illegal immigrants, not other countries need our help. We need our help. These are our. The microphone cut off, or when I left, or if I just said all that for nothing. Somebody will have to tell me because I have no idea when it stopped. I wasn't paying attention. I just noticed the light blinking. Was it? Joe, how far did I get? What was the last thing I talked about? I don't remember. Criminal aliens need to be deported. Okay. Your mic went down. That's cool, clever, cleavage. You noticed immediately. Okay, good. Just cut off briefly. Okay, yeah, so like I was trying to say before my mic went dead. The midterms are coming up. It's a huge election. Democrats want to take the power from Trump. Trump wants to maintain the power so that he can keep doing whatever it is he's doing. I'm center right. I've always been center. I try to vote policies, not politicians. I think Trump has a little too much power, but I don't think he should have it all taken away. I think Democrats are trying to take it away for the wrong reasons. And God forbid Hillary fucking run again. I would just, my suggestion to the young people, because you are the biggest voting class in our country, you just don't get out there and you don't vote. Don't vote Democrat. Don't vote Republican. Vote whoever is your local person running, what their policies are. And if your future is not included in that policy, then don't vote them in. Another thing, I think we should all vote out all the old people that have been there a long time. People my age or older that have been there forever because they don't have the same ideas that you guys do for the future. The only way you're going to make your future is by voting in people that agree with it. And Mom Dami or whatever his name is from New York is not the way. You're being led down a path that is not a good path. You guys know, you guys are smart. You're a very, very intelligent generation. So when you vote, forget about Democrats, forget about left and right and MAGA and woke. Forget all that shit and vote who has your future in hand. Trust me, when they start to realize that you guys are only going to vote for people that are looking towards your future, they'll change their policies to fit your vote because they want to be voted in. They'll do anything to take. Why do you think Republicans run so hard on hating trans people? Because it's a point of people vote. Because if you hate trans people and they hate them, they're going to vote for them. They don't give a shit about us. We're just small. We can't even change a vote. There's so few of us. But we're a good talking point. We make great news. I'm just trying to give you guys some advice. Take it or leave it. It's your country now. I'm retiring next year. It's all up to you. The workforce belongs to you now. Who you vote in is up to you. I won't be around long enough for serious changes to take that. Because if I'm lucky, I'll be here another 10, 15 years. You're going to be here a lot longer than that. And if you don't start turning that boat now, it's not going to turn because this country's like a ship. It takes a long time to turn. I'm just saying, put away left and right. Go down the center and vote policy, not politicians. You'll be better off. My opinion. Yes, ignore the culture war. Boogeyman. Yeah, exactly. Stop listening. Stop getting your politics from the news media. They all have an agenda. They're all bought and paid for by the politicians. Completely. Completely. It's like, here's the thing. Here's what's hot in the news right now. Epstein has been forever. Trump don't want to release the Epstein file because he's guilty. Maybe. I'm not so sure. You know why I'm not so sure he's as guilty as people want to say he is? Because if he was that guilty, they would have brought that shit out when it was freaking time for the election. They would have, because a Democrat was in office, the Democrat had it in the golden little hands. They could have done anything that they freaking wanted with it. They could have returned it when Biden was in office. They could have spread it all over the place and buried Trump if he was in there, but they didn't do that. Why not? Ask yourself, why not? Why didn't they? You think just because Bill was in there a lot, Mr. Clinton was in there a lot? No. No. Because there wasn't enough to bury him. They're already trying to pin bullshit charges on him. He's a felon 43 times. They took a freaking misdemeanor, compiled it, turned it into a felon just to try to keep him from getting elected, and it backfired. He got elected anyway. There's a reason they didn't release those files when Biden was in office. Because they're just as damaging. Who they're the most damaging to is our financial elite. The bigwigs that own this country, that own the politicians. That's why they're not releasing it. It's not because of Trump. It's because of people like that Prince dude that was over there doing nasties with kids. Bill Gates doing nasties. This is not me. This is coming out of these files. That's why they don't want to do it, because the financial leaders that lead this country would be brought down, and it would affect our freaking bottom line in the stock market. You can't risk it. That's why they're not releasing it. Otherwise, the Democrats would have done it to bury Trump. And if you can't see that, then you're not looking at it for what it really is. You got too much of the freaking woke glasses on. Get rid of that shit. If you freaking hang on your policy so much you cannot see one good thing that the other side is doing, then you're too stuck up your own ass to really, then don't vote, because your vote is meaningless. You're voting for a party, not a policy. Trump nasty with kids. See, I don't believe that he is. I really don't. The reason I don't believe that he is, because of the relationship that he has with his grandchildren. Bad people don't have relationships like that with their grandkids. I'm not saying, okay, bad people. Bad parents, bad grandparents, perverts don't have relationships like that with their grandkids. They just don't. Trump does. I'm not saying that he's perfect. No way. Trump's a freaking weirdo. He's losing his mind. A lot of things. But I voted for him. Because how could you vote for a vice president? Remember that Kamala was vice president. While Biden was losing his goddamn mind, and she didn't have enough moxie, enough balls to stand up and say, hey, Article 25 needs to be invoked. This president no longer has his mental capabilities about him. And I am, as vice president, my job was to be here and be the backup to the president, and I'm doing it now. Instead, she cowered, and she shoved it down all of our throats for 4 goddamn years, and then tried to do it for 4 more, realized we weren't buying it anymore after that one debate, stepped in and tried to take over. I don't want that shit. I don't want that shit running it. That's why I voted for Trump, because he was the best of the 2 choices. Give me a better one, I would have picked one. People voted for her just because they hate him. Goddamn, talk about throwing our country under the bus just because you bias against a person. Don't respect the man, respect the seat, though. Come on, people. Let's see, we got another super chat here. You are cool, smart, and interesting. I am inspired and encouraged, which makes me a little uncomfortable, honestly. Hard not to share. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for the donation. It really helps. I put all the money that I get from this channel through donations. YouTube doesn't pay me. I am monetized, but my topics are so controversial. And because I'm trans, they literally pay me 15, 17 cents, even though I have millions of views, total views, millions of them. I still make no money from YouTube. All my money that I make is from donations, and they all go back into everything that you see around me, because I'm poor. Honestly, guys, I work on a dairy ranch. We don't make a lot of money, but my house is included, so I can stay close to my kids. Chris and I, we don't have a lot of money, but what money I make, I put back into this, because I think that you guys deserve that, to make it as best as I can. Better. I mean, I'm not very good at this. I realize that. I'm just talking head here. I'm kind of more of a recluse than anything, but it was important to me to come out and at least try to make people see trans people for something different than they were portrayed as. Anyway, that's here nor there. Thank you for your donation. I appreciate it. I think Trump is a pedo. I don't. I just don't. Right? If you don't realize yet that the Democrats are willing to say anything there is and everything, you know who is? You know who has shown that they are? Their whole political career, all the way back from college days, is Bill Clinton. This man has been a philanderer forever. Hillary married him knowing that he was a philanderer because he had a good political future. But everybody wants to ignore that. Everybody just wants to ignore that fact and attack Trump. I just don't see it. I don't think Trump's that person. I think there's a lot of other things that Trump is, but I don't think that's one of them. It's my personal opinion. You're entitled to yours too. You're never going to see the proof that he did. And Trump is not, sorry, my lipstick was blotching up on me. Trump is not releasing those files because it protects him. Trust me, like I said before, if there was something in there so damning that it would bury Trump, Biden administration would have put it out there when they had it in their hot little hands. Why didn't they put it out when they were in power just a little over a year ago? They had their power and they had the files. Why did they not put it out? Ask yourself that. Trump talks about his daughter in a disgusting way. He says his daughter, I say my daughter's beautiful. I don't say I would date her because that is kind of weird, but I think that's just Trump. Trump's not a normal guy. He's a weird guy. He's born with a silver thing in his mouth. You know, I don't admire the man. I don't particularly like him, right? But I know what's best for the country over what was destroying it. And unfortunately, I personally would have voted for Robert Kennedy had he continued to run as an independent. But he had no way of winning, and he wanted to make America healthy again, which I believe he's actually trying to do. They cut, for kids used to take vaccinations was 70 vaccinations for each kid. And I think they cut it down to 7. Don't quote me on this, but something like that. They went from like 70 to 7 vaccinations per child. 70. He's got these places to agree to take the false colors out of the food. Right? This is important shit. But nobody wants to give him credit because they're behind Trump. The fact that he cut the price of medicine to where we're paying the same as Europe now, and we were paying 3, 4, 10, 100 times more than Europe, and now we pay the same. That's incredible. Nobody has brought the price of pharmaceuticals down in decades. And he not only cut them by percentage, he cut them whack. That helps my parents. That helps all the elderly and the diabetics and the sick that can't afford their medicine. But nobody wants to give him credit for that. Why can't you give credit where credit is due if you're so willing to condemn him when he does shit wrong? I just don't get it. Let's see, what do we got? You don't have to listen. Yeah, nobody's forcing it. Yeah, nobody has to listen to me. Most of Europe has free healthcare. I don't know if they do or not. Chris, knock it off.
What?
You're freaking out in there.
Fine.
Stop. Do you have your air in? Do you have your air? Thank you. Chris is freaking out back there. I can hear her. She's been sick. She needs to be resting. I don't know what she's freaking out about something. Let's see. The files are accessible online and the Globe. No one looked into his allegations of assault against a 13-year-old, probably because Epstein covered it up. Trump was the first person that actually blew the whistle on Epstein. Epstein actually gone public about he thought that Trump was the reason that the first charges were filed against him. He didn't like Trump because of that. He thought Trump was the rat that snitched him out, and Trump was. Flat out. Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago because he was being creepy around some of the younger staff. People say, oh, because he was trying to steal the young people from Trump. Trump didn't. It's not why. If you're going to spit the facts, at least make sure they're facts. Because they're twisted. If you only listen to NBC, CNN, you're going to get twisted news. I'm not saying to listen to Fox because they're going to twist it the other way. Listen to both. Make your own decision. Stop having people, talking heads, tell you what's what. You're not going to have a healthy brain. You're not going to be able to see things for what they really are. Is Trump a great person? Is he all that? Oh yeah, Trump, Megan. No, he's not. But he's not as bad as they make him out to be either, right? Y'all voted for Kamala, whatever her name is. Right now, Hillary's trying to come back. My God, how come nobody talks about Hillary? You know, when Hillary was running for president against Trump, and she got caught doing a bunch of bad shit, so she literally burned her laptop and all the emails and everything that had to do with it, even though a court had ordered her to return them over. She destroyed the evidence, but nobody brought it up. Nobody talks about that. She should have been in jail for that. We just sweep that under the rug. If Trump had done that, my God, you'd be hanging him from courthouse. Have an equal justice, but if anything at all, at least judge the man fairly. I'm not supporting him or sticking up for him, but this bias, these guys can do anything they want, but if Trump freaking grows an ingrown toenail, you want him crucified. It's like, God damn, man, that's just, it shows ignorance, not intelligence, people. What do I know? I'm just an old fart. Hi, PG&E. Oh, that's, I'm sorry, there's somebody, oh, there's PG&E up above. I said, I seen somebody price me wrong, I beg you. What is that? Price me wrong, I beg you? I don't get that. Oh, prove me wrong. Okay, what was your comment to where maybe you're correct? I'm not saying that I know everything, but what was your comment? And I will tell you whether or not I think that you're wrong. Let me see if I can go back and find it. Is your Breadcrumb? Is that who you were? Breadcrumb, is she okay? Who, Chris? She's pissed off about something. Let's see, Breadcrumb. Most of Europe has free healthcare. I don't know if they do or not. To be completely honest with you, I don't remember hearing that they had free healthcare. I know Canada used to have free healthcare. They consider it still free healthcare, but they started a tax when I was there that the citizens now pay for the healthcare. It's just taken out of their checks. When I first got to Canada in 2002, because I was had a working permit there, I fell under and I got the free healthcare too. Right before I left, they instituted a income tax to pay for healthcare. So if you want to call that free, go ahead, but it's not exactly free anymore, is it? And the quality of healthcare in Canada is not that great. Actually, the only way they even keep doctors, because they can't pay their doctors very much, is if you go to medical school in Canada and you graduate, you automatically have to give a certain number of years to the country before you can go anywhere else. And they usually give those 4 or 5 years, whatever it is, and then they go to the States, because States, they make more money. And to get an MRI in Canada takes months and months and months and months and months, because it's all backed up. So the healthcare we have here in our state is probably the best in the world because we get to choose who we want. Obama instituted this national health thing, but it's not free. It's expensive as hell. And it gives so much power to these insurance companies to deny coverage for shit they don't even know about. And it gives a ton of leverage to doctors to overprice. You ever notice how screwed up a system is? If you go in there and you say, I need an MRI, here's my insurance, it costs you $20,000, whatever, I don't know exactly. It costs you a shitload of money. But if you go in there, the same thing, you say, I don't have insurance, can I pay cash? It's like a third of the price. Why is that? Why is it less for me to pay myself, but if I have insurance, they charge you 10 times more? That's a broken system. Trump's trying to fix it. I don't know if he's going to be able to, but he's trying. He's trying to do the same thing with pharmaceutical or with the medical companies and the insurance companies that he did with the pharmaceutical companies. If he succeeded, good for all of us. If not, he didn't. Art of the Deal. It's like also, if you haven't read Art of the Deal, you don't understand Trump's thinking. If you want to debate whether Trump's right or wrong, read Art of the Deal first. Then you'll be able to, for one, debate with some sort of intelligence about why the guy does what he does. He always starts high. Every demand he makes is always sky high, so he can settle in the middle where it should be. Because if you start in the middle, you're going to settle low. That's the art of the deal in a nutshell. Let's see, what do we got here? What kind of cow and how many? They're Holsteins, and if you include calves and heifers and milking cows, there's probably 1,500, somewhere around there. What? I just said about 1,500. Yeah, about 1,500 with the babies and everything. We farm about, I don't know, 5, 6, 700 acres to feed them. I think it's that much. Pretty sure. It's a lot. We're milking about 500? Yeah, something like that. Milking about 500 and 500 on the way. That's what it is. I work for one of the largest healthcare systems in California, and it's very broken. Yes, it is. I could tell you some stories, but I'm not gonna. I could tell you some things that I noticed, but I'm not gonna. Not yet. I got proof. But I'm gonna hold on to it. Things aren't right. Things are not right. But I digress. Do you possess or process the milk? No. There's a local creamery that comes and picks the milk up, and they process it, do whatever they do with it, make whatever out of it. You know, this is a local family-owned dairy. It's the third generation right now. It's been here for 80 years, something like that. I'm not part of the family, although my dad worked for the guy who hired me, the father of the person running the ranch now. The guy who hired me died. He hired my dad, not my stepdad, not that guy, the asshole, my mom's other husband, who I really like and admire. He worked here for like 30 years being the carpenter, plumber, electrician, everything that I do now. He retired. I took over his spot. Just so happened I was fucked up in my world really, really bad. The owner gave me a chance, gave me a place to stay, gave me a job. I told him that when he gave me that opportunity, that nothing would cross the arches of this ranch. And that's when my life changed. It's also when I became transgender, when I accepted who I am. But that's here and there. Good family owned business. Very, very hard business to stay in business. The area that I'm in, there used to be hundreds and hundreds of dairies, and now there's only a couple dozen left because politicians have fucked them right out of everything, taxed the shit out of them. Here's the crazy thing you probably don't know, you probably don't want to know about the dairy industry. The dairy industry, at least in California, they make a contract and they set the milk at a price. You pay per pound. They get paid per pound of milk. Regardless of the price at the grocery store goes up or down, they still have that price. It could go from $2 a gallon to $20 a gallon. The farmer makes no more, no less. And it's usually pretty low. Now, you could sell cows, like the older cows we sell, and I don't know what they do with them. I think they make beef. Although in Vegas, there was a restaurant there that is advertising what they call seasoned, aged, organic steak from Petaluma, a local area around here, just north of the Golden Gate Bridge. Those dairies that they come from are just milk dairies. They're just old milk cows. But they market them as a way because here in California, a pound of hamburger is $15. 1 pound of hamburger. Wow. Because milk don't cost that much. Old timers are leaving. No one's filling their shoes. Yep. How can somebody like me fill their shoes? In what way? You mean like the ranchers or the? You see, here's what's happening to the milk industry for your mom and pop shops, like this place is. Even though we milk 500 cows, it's very, very small. And tell me how this makes sense. Because per cow, the way you keep an organic label is you have to put these cows out to pasture, free range, so many days a year. You can't put them out when it rains because they tear up the fields. But there's so many days a year that they have to be free range. They wander around and just eat grass. And that's what keeps, and you can't treat the grass with anything except for physical labor. You can't spray for weeds or anything. That's what makes an organic ranch and free range and organic milk. But in the valley, where they're milking 5,000 cows. Now, mind you, this ranch here, I think the owner of it owns probably about 600 or 700 acres of land, and then rents another 600 or 700 acres or whatever it is, a whole shitload. So they have enough to meet the quota for the cows. But in the valley where they have 5,000 cows, you know how much land that they would need to actually fit those same procedures to keep their certification? There's not enough land. But somehow they get away with it. And those 5,000 cow dairies put these little mom and pop shops out of business because they can accept the lower price on milk. And it's just destroying our beautiful hillsides because they're going from green hills for cows to homes and houses. Stupid. Stupid. You know, and this is what I used to tell people. Organic people that fight for organic cows, you're not doing the cows any favor. You're harming the cows because they're organic, because organic milk drives a higher price. You get paid more for it. But you can't treat a cow. When a cow gets sick, we cannot give it medicine. When a cow gets pneumonia, we can't give it medicine to clear its lungs. When a calf is born and it's not quite healthy, we have to let it die because we cannot give that calf medicine. Otherwise, we lose the organic certification. So people that sit there and they think that they're doing this great, wonderful thing of demanding that organic dairies stick to the complete organic regimen, you're harming the animals. They're suffering because animals get sick. They just do. And if you can't treat them, you basically watch them die. There's some herbal shit that you can give cows. It don't work, especially with flies. Flies are horrible. There's flies that are specifically for cows. And if you can't treat flies, kill the flies off, they become overwhelmed, and the organic shit don't work. It's a constant battle. So I think that should be able to have organic cows that you could still treat when they get sick. Maybe remove it from the herd. I don't know. It's just terrible. That's why when people say, I'm an activist and these organic cows need to be, you don't know what you're talking about. You just don't know. It's also the same people that, are activists that trying to save the world, but they're using a fucking iPhone with AI, which uses more electricity than anything else. But I digress. Okay. So anyway, guys, what are we at? How much time are we on here? I think my voice is telling me that it's probably time to wrap this up. I appreciate y'all. And I thank you for the people that contributed. Generally, when we actually start having legitimate conversations on this channel, that's when the trolls leave, and then we can actually get the no fuss. We can actually get down to it. Now, I know there was a lot of things that went by I didn't catch. What I do is almost every time is I go through it. I copy and paste the entire chat from the entire show. I feed it through ChatGPT, and I tell ChatGPT to pull up 10 or 15 of the questions that were asked that I didn't get to that really has substance behind them. And then I put out a video either tonight or tomorrow answering the questions that people asked or commenting on what their comments were that they were asking if they're legitimate. So please don't think that you were unheard if I didn't mention you. And even if then, I do read them all. I go through and I sit down and I read all of them and I ignore all the stupid shit, all the trolls. But I do try to read every response because I think it's important. And if you really want me to read something, I answer every single person that comments on after my videos on those comments. Sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's not, but I answer every single one. If I didn't answer you for one, that's because I missed it, not because I didn't try. I do actually comment everyone because I appreciate everybody who gives me their ear and tells other people that there's different ways of looking at trans people. And if you're trans, you can come here and you're not going to be judged. You're not going to be canceled. I don't believe in woke. I think woke is retarded. You can come here. This is a place to be. It's a safe place. You're going to feel like you belong. Thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you. Even the ones that disagree with me, I still appreciate you because if you can't debate, then you're going nowhere. Thanks, Joe, Debbie, my regulars, Barbie, the people that are here as soon as we start the live and they stay till the end. You're the meat, the heart, and the soul of this channel. I appreciate you. We're growing slow, but we're growing. 8,500 subscribers. I'm reaching for that 10,000 subscriber mark. It's right around the corner. Should get there probably in 2 or 3 months. Are we a fast growing channel? Nope. Fast never lasts. Slow and steady wins the race. Thank you, guys. We'll see you in a couple days.